My first ayahuasca journey coming right up in this SpeakUp video. Hi, I'm Yang. I'm the speaker coach here at Speaking Volumes. Today we have another SpeakUp video about another defining moment in my life. I'll be sharing the lessons and hopefully you can learn something from them. Today is about ayahuasca and my heart-breaking moment around that. So if you like these sort of videos, like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel. I've got more of these videos coming right up in the next couple of weeks. Ayahuasca. Now this is a plant medicine and something that I discovered in 2010 when I was researching a lot of alternative topics and I was discovering all these interesting things like ayahuasca, which is a plant medicine. I've never done any drugs in my life. I've probably smoked once in my life, and that was like when I was in 2016, so like only 4 years ago, in my late 20s when I started smoking. Anyway, ayahuasca is a plant medicine. It is not a drug. It's a brew that shamans make out of like 2 particular plants, and they can also add different plants to it. And they create this brew, and when you drink it, it heals a lot of trauma. Now everyone's got a bit of trauma. No matter what people say, you've probably got some trauma somewhere in your body, somewhere within you. And this can help in alleviating that, in bringing it up to the surface. The medicine can help you heal those parts of yourself that you're emotionally repressing and emotionally painful. It is a fantastic medicine. Not for everyone. I think you'd have to research it to be able to say yay or nay, is it right for you? You have to be called to be able to use it. Now, it definitely didn't call me back in 2010. Now, I found out about ayahuasca. Now, it was in middle of 2019 that I met a person who knew a shaman, and I was like, yes, that sounds awesome. I'm definitely gonna do it. I felt called to do it this time because I was having relationship issues and I felt like I needed to be more vulnerable and communicate more in my relationship with Morgan, and it wasn't happening, and I wanted to have a better relationship, and I was struggling, so I felt like I needed more help. In this situation, ayahuasca felt like it was a way to help me go deeper and heal some of the more traumatic things in my life. And I had a massive list, a checklist of ayahuasca, please help me with this, and this. And it doesn't always work like that with the medicine, because ayahuasca has its own agenda. It gives you what you need, not necessarily what you want. So I was pretty excited about it, actually. So the ceremony was in August 2019, and before the ceremony, you have to adhere to a special ayahuasca diet. And this is a diet that usually you have to adhere to it for 2 weeks. So very much a vegetarian diet, so no meat, no sex 24 hours before and after. You can't have avocados the day of the ceremony because there's an enzyme in it that inhibits the medicine from working. There's all these other requirements to the diet. So I followed the diet, and it was quite challenging because it's quite bland, you can't have salt. And the day of the ceremony, I was very excited because I had all these things that I wanted ayahuasca to help me with, and it was in the middle of a forest. So getting there, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I had all these expectations of what I wanted. And by the way, I've never done drugs, just to repeat that. I've never done any drugs. This is not really a drug. It's, yeah, as I said, it's a medicine. So when I had my first cup, it tasted like prune juice. Apparently, the more ayahuasca you drink, the worse it tastes. And also, a lot of people are kind of afraid of having a really bad, negative, nightmarish experiences that some people talk about. I think there's 2 factors to that. One is you want to do it with a trained shaman, and you want to make sure that they are doing all the things necessary to make sure that the space is protected energetically. Because if it's not, there's all sorts of things that could enter the space which can disrupt your experience and make it really bad. And second thing is you want to come in with the right intention. If you're coming in with, I just want to have a great trip and just want to have a fun experience, you're probably not going to have a great experience. It's more about having the intention to grow, I want to be there to heal trauma or to open my mind. If you come in with an open-minded perspective of anything can happen and I'm here to learn, I'm here to grow, then you'll be fine. And so when I had my first cup, I didn't really feel anything for the first, say, 20, 30 minutes. I was feeling nothing. And I was like, is it working? Is it gonna work? And I was like, oh, it's not working. Something's not right. And so I continued to breathe, continued to focus inward. And I started crying. I started, I guess, releasing some emotion. I had a lot of emotions repressed, and I'm not someone who expresses my emotions or feelings a lot, so I was very stressed at the time, so I was crying. I had these images come up of myself curled up in a ball next to a giant door, and then I'm standing up, I push the door. When I reflected on that image, it really represents my relationship with my parents. So I felt like I had to push so much just to get their love. You know, this giant door, I felt alone, and I had to push this giant door to get through to them. And when I was on the other side, there was a giant staircase. Each step is like a meter long. And every time I walked up one step, I felt more and more suffocated. The air was more and more rarefied and I couldn't breathe as much. And it was the analogy of the more I do to please them, the more I'm less of myself, and I'm killing myself the more that I'm trying to please them and do what they say. And so that was a really big lesson for me. And that was just the first kind of hour. And that was it. That was the biggest learning from the actual ceremony. But then I was like, nothing's happening. I got that in the first hour. And usually a ceremony lasts a few hours. It can last 5-6 hours. And so I was like, oh, nothing's happening. So I asked the shaman for a second cup. So I took a swig, took the second cup, and I went to Mars. I went to outer space. I was so out of it. My identity was just gone. I was going this way, this way, this way, this way, every way, and I couldn't even focus on my own body. Even like breathing, like focusing on breathing, trying to contain myself in this body, I couldn't do it. I was like everywhere. I wasn't even here. I was going to Mars. And that was Mother Ayahuasca saying, you know, I'm in control here. You think you might have all these things that you want on your list, but you're not going to get it. I'm showing you who's boss, because I was like, I want all these things. I'm going to tell you what I need, but ayahuasca doesn't work like that. She showed me that night who was boss. So at the end of it, I didn't end up purging during the ceremony. So there's two ways to purge in a ceremony. There's throwing up and vomiting, or there's purging out the other end. Now I purged out the other end after the ceremony, so that was logistically convenient, because after the second cup, I was not even able to stand up at all. Impossible. It was impossible. I couldn't even like sit up properly. It was intense. It was seriously the most intense thing ever. And since that ceremony, I've done it 7 times. So I've definitely enjoyed myself. I definitely get lessons every single time. And part of that ceremony, it was a heartbreaking moment for me to start realizing the impact that my parents have on me, the way I please them in order to get love. Because you shouldn't need to please other people, to do things for other people just to get love. If you're doing things, you're constantly needing to do more things just to get that reward of love, and that shouldn't be a reward at all, because love should be unconditional. You know, your parents should be loving you unconditionally, not because of what you're doing in life and not because you're being successful. If you're successful, you get love. That doesn't make sense at all. And that was what I felt like. If I didn't do the right things to please them, then I wouldn't be getting the love that I wanted. That's the major lesson. You know, it might not be your parents, but maybe there are other people you're trying to please. And if you're trying to please them, you're meeting those expectations at the expense of yourself, suffocating yourself, killing yourself to do it. It's not worth it. The other lesson was just relax into the experience, let go more, don't try and control it, especially with ayahuasca. If you control it, you're not gonna get that much. Same thing in life. Sometimes you gotta go with the flow. It's a lesson that I need to learn more as well. Don't try and control things all the time. So yeah, that was my first ayahuasca experience. Have you thought about doing ayahuasca? Have you heard about it? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel. and I'll see you in another Speak Up video.